Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English in Advance, where we take your English skills from intermediate to advanced, not by stressing over grammar rules, but by understanding how the language truly works in real life. I'm your host, Jessica, and I am so incredibly happy to have you here with me today for this special deep dive session. Today we are going to talk about something that might sound a little bit impossible at first, or perhaps it sounds like a dream come true. We're going to talk about how to practice English every single day without actually studying. Yes, you heard me right. No textbooks, no grammar drills, no flashcards, and no sitting at a desk for hours feeling frustrated. We are going to explore how to achieve natural fluency through daily habits and lifestyle changes that integrate English into your life so seamlessly that you will not even realize you are learning. This is perfect for you if you are currently at a B1 or B2 level. Because at this stage, you already know the basics and you already have the vocabulary, but you might feel stuck, or you might feel like you are translating in your head before you speak. The goal of this session is to help you break that barrier and start thinking and feeling in English. Let us start by redefining what it means to learn a language. Most people treat English like a subject in school like history or mathematics, where you have to memorize facts and formulas, but language is not a subject. It is a skill, like driving a car or playing an instrument or learning to dance. You do not learn to drive a car just by reading the manual. You learn by getting in the driver's seat and driving. The same logic applies here. To become fluent, you need to stop treating English like a generic subject to be studied and start treating it like a tool to be used. The secret to daily practice without studying is what I call the immersion overlap method. This simply means you take the things you are already doing in your daily life and you simply overlap English onto them. You do not need to find extra time in your day because I know you are busy. You have work, you have family, you have hobbies, and finding an extra hour to study is hard. So instead of finding time, we are going to change how you use the time you already have. The first and perhaps most powerful technique we are going to practice together right now is called narration. This is where you become the narrator of your own life. Think about a movie. In a movie, there is often a voiceover explaining what the character is doing or feeling. I want you to be that voiceover for your own life. This is amazing for B1 and B2 learners because it forces you to access vocabulary related to your immediate environment. Let me give you a very specific example of how this works. Imagine you are waking up in the morning. Usually you might just get out of bed like a zombie and walk to the kitchen. But tomorrow morning, I want you to narrate your actions in your head, or even better out loud if you are alone. You might say something like, "I am stretching my arms and legs because I feel a bit stiff this morning. Now I am swinging my legs out of bed and my feet are touching the cold floor. I am walking to the bathroom to brush my teeth." Do you see what is happening here? You are using present continuous tense naturally. You are connecting the words to the physical actions. This creates a much stronger memory link than just reading the word stretch in a book. Let us go deeper into this narration technique because I want you to really understand how to use it for complex thoughts. As you move through your day, try to explain your decisions. For example, when you are in the kitchen making coffee, do not just say, "I am making coffee." Expand on it. Say to yourself, "I am deciding to use the big mug today because I am feeling particularly tired and I need a lot of caffeine." I am pouring the hot water slowly because I do not want to spill it. By adding the word because you are forcing yourself to create complex sentences. You are practicing connecting words and reasoning. This is how you move from simple B1 sentences to more complex B2 structures. It feels strange at first talking to yourself, but I promise you it is the fastest way to build fluency because you are training your brain to retrieve English words instantly without waiting for a conversation partner. Now let us move on to another aspect of daily practice, without studying, which is transforming your digital environment. You spend hours every day looking at your phone or your computer. This is a huge opportunity for passive learning. If your phone is still in your native language, I want you to change it to English right after this podcast. This seems like a small detail, but it forces your brain to learn the context of technical words. When you see settings or notifications or privacy policy, every single day those words become second nature. But we can go further than just changing the language settings. Think about the content you consume. I want you to curate your social media feed. If you love cooking, follow chefs who speak English. If you love football, follow English commentary. If you are into makeup or technology or gardening, find creators who speak English and follow them. The trick here is that you are not watching to learn English. You are watching because you enjoy the topic. When you are interested in the content, your brain is in a relaxed state. You are not stressed about grammar. You are just curious about the recipe or the football match. This relaxed curiosity is the perfect state for language acquisition. It is how babies learn. They want to understand the world, so they pick up the language to do it. You can do the same. Let us practice this concept of passive listening with a specific exercise. I call it the background noise technique. Many learners think they need to focus 100% on audio to learn, but that is not always true. Sometimes it is beneficial to just have English playing in the background while you do something else like washing the dishes or folding laundry or commuting to work. You do not need to understand every single word. In fact, trying to understand every word can be exhausting. Instead, just let the rhythm and the melody of the language wash over you. Your brain is an amazing pattern recognition machine. Even when you are not fully paying attention, it is picking up on the intonation, the stress patterns, and the way sounds link together. For example, notice how I am speaking right now. I am not speaking like a robot. I am pausing for emphasis. I am going up and down in pitch. By listening to hours of English in the background, you subconsciously internalize this musicality of the language. Eventually, when you speak, you will naturally start to copy this rhythm without even trying. However, there is a time for active focus, and that brings us to the next technique, which is shadowing. Shadowing is different from just listening. Shadowing is a physical workout for your mouth muscles. If you want to speak fluently, you have to train your muscles to move in new ways. English requires different tongue positions and lip shapes than your native language. Here is how you do it without making it feel like studying. Pick a short clip of audio, maybe 10 or 20 seconds long. It could be from a podcast like this one or a scene from a movie. Listen to it once. Then play it again and try to speak along with the speaker at the exact same time. You are not waiting for them to finish. You are speaking simultaneously like a shadow. Try to match their speed, their emotion, and their pauses. If they sound angry, you sound angry. If they whisper, you whisper. This is crucial because language is not just words, it is emotion and attitude. When you copy the emotion, you trick your brain into thinking you are actually experiencing that situation, which helps the language stick. Let us try a very short shadowing exercise right now. I am going to say a sentence, and I want you to repeat it exactly as I say it with the same feeling. The sentence is, I honestly don't know what I would do without you. Listen to the stress. I honestly don't know what I would do without you. Notice how I stressed the word honestly and the word without. I did not say, I honestly do not know. I connected the words. I said, I honestly don't know. Try to say it with that flow. This kind of practice takes 2 minutes, but it is incredibly effective. You can do this in the car or in the shower. It is active practice, but it feels like acting. It is fun, and it builds confidence because you get used to hearing your own voice, speaking English clearly and correctly. Another fantastic way to practice without studying involves observation and description of the world around you, which helps you stop translating. One of the biggest problems B1 and B2 learners face is the translation gap. You think of the word in your native language and then you search for the English equivalent. We want to close that gap. The next time you are sitting in a park or a cafe or even on the bus, look at the people around you and play a game called People Watching. Create a story about a stranger in your mind, but do it entirely in English. Look at that man over there with the blue jacket. Ask yourself questions in English. Where is he going? Maybe he is going to a job interview because he looks nervous. He is checking his watch constantly. Maybe he is late. What does he have in his bag? It probably contains his laptop and some documents. By creating these little stories, you are practicing narrative tenses and speculative language like maybe and probably and looks like. You are engaging your imagination, which is a very powerful tool for memory. When you attach language to an image or a story, it sticks much better than when you attach it to a grammar rule. Building on that foundation of narration, let us now tackle the psychological barriers that keep you stuck at the intermediate level and explore advanced immersion techniques that will challenge your brain to stop translating and start thinking directly in English. We need to address the concept of the intermediate plateau. This is that feeling where you put in a lot of effort, but you do not see the rapid progress you saw when you were a beginner. When you first started learning English, every new word felt like a victory. You learned apple and cat and house, and suddenly you could name things. The progress was visible and exciting. But now at a B1 or B2 level, the progress is more subtle. You are learning nuance. You are learning the difference between saying, I want to do this and I feel like doing this. These small differences are what separate a competent speaker from a fluent one. To cross this plateau, you need to change the input you are giving your brain. You cannot just consume textbook English anymore because nobody speaks like a textbook in the real world. You need to consume what I call raw, authentic English. One of the most effective ways to do this without studying is to change how you watch movies and television shows. I know everyone says watch movies in English, but I want to give you a very specific technique called the scene analysis method. Instead of watching a whole 2-hour movie and feeling overwhelmed, I want you to pick just one scene. Maybe it is a 3-minute scene where 2 characters are having an argument or planning a heist or falling in love. Watch that scene without subtitles first. Just listen. Try to catch the emotion and the general idea. Then watch it again with English subtitles. This is where the magic happens. Do not just look at the words, look at how the words connect to the facial expressions and the body language. Notice how the actor might swallow their words or speak very quickly when they are angry. Notice how they use filler words like well or actually. These filler words are often deleted from textbooks, but they are the glue of natural conversation. By focusing on just 3 minutes, you can analyze the rhythm and the tone deeply. Then turn the subtitles off again and watch it a third time. You will be amazed at how much clearer the audio sounds now that your brain knows what to expect. This is training your ears to hear the boundaries between words in fast speech. Let us expand on this idea of fast speech, because it is one of the biggest complaints I hear from students. They say, "Jessica, native speakers speak too fast. I cannot keep up." The truth is, we do not actually speak faster. We just connect our words. We use something called connected speech. For example, if I say the sentence, "I want to go to the park," a robot would say every word clearly. "I want to go to the park." But a human says, "I want to go to the park." The words want and to become wanna. The words go and to blend together. To practice this naturally without studying, I want you to become a mimic. When you hear a native speaker squash words together, try to squash them together yourself. Do not try to be perfect, just play with the sounds. It is almost like learning a song. You do not learn the lyrics of a song by reading them. You learn them by singing along with the melody. Treat English sentences like little melodies. If you can hum the rhythm of the sentence, you are halfway to saying it correctly. Now let us talk about a technique that helps with vocabulary recall. Have you ever been in a conversation and the perfect word is on the tip of your tongue, but you just cannot remember it? It is incredibly frustrating. This usually happens because you learned the word in isolation. You learned it from a list. To fix this, we need to learn words in chunks, or what linguists call collocations. Collocations are simply words that naturally go together. For example, we do not say, "do a mistake," we say, "make a mistake." We do not say, "fast rain," we say, "heavy rain." When you are listening to podcasts or reading articles, pay attention to these partnerships. Do not just write down the word rain. Write down heavy rain or torrential rain. By learning the pair, you are giving your brain a hook. It is much easier to pull a whole phrase out of your memory than a single isolated word. So the next time you hear a new word, ask yourself, what is it married to? What is the verb that comes before it, or the adjective that describes it? This will make your speaking sound much more natural and idiomatic because you are using the same building blocks that native speakers use. I want to pivot now to a very interesting psychological trick called the alter ego method. Sometimes we feel shy in a second language because we feel vulnerable. We are afraid of being judged. But what if you were not you? What if you were an English version of yourself who is confident and outgoing and not afraid of mistakes? Beyoncé famously created an alter ego called Sasha Fierce to help her perform on stage. You can do the same. Give your English persona a name if you want, or just imagine stepping into a different pair of shoes when you speak English. When you are in this mode, you are allowed to be louder. You are allowed to use your hands more. You are allowed to take up space. Surprisingly, many students find that their accent improves when they pretend to be someone else, because they stop overthinking their own limitations and just act the part. It frees you from the perfectionism that holds you back. So the next time you have to make a phone call in English or speak to a colleague, take a deep breath and step into your English persona. Tell yourself, I am a confident English speaker, and I have something valuable to say. Let us discuss the role of curiosity in your daily life. To learn without studying, you need to cultivate a state of constant questioning. When you are walking down the street, look at things and ask yourself, do I know the specific word for that? You see a car, but do you know the word for the windshield? You see a tree, but do you know the word for the bark or the branch? You see a building, but do you know the word for the balcony or the gutter? When you find a gap in your knowledge, do not just ignore it. Use your phone immediately. We all carry smartphones. Look it up right there in the moment. Because you are looking at the object while you learn the word, the visual connection is incredibly strong. You are standing in front of the tree, touching the bark and reading the word bark. That is multisensory learning, and it creates a memory that lasts much longer than rote memorization. Make it a game to find 5 things every day that you do not know the English word for and find them. It takes less than a minute, but over a year, that is almost 2,000 new words that are directly relevant to your physical world. As we move deeper into advanced territory, we need to tackle the elements that make English feel truly human, such as humor, sarcasm, and advanced politeness. These are the elements that allow you to connect with people on a soul level rather than just exchanging information. Let us start with one of the most difficult aspects of any language, which is humor and sarcasm. I know many of you have experienced that awkward moment where everyone in the room laughs and you just stand there smiling nervously, pretending you understood. It is a terrible feeling. But I want you to know it is not your fault. Humor relies on culture and wordplay and timing, which are the last things you acquire. But we can practice this. Sarcasm is particularly common in English-speaking cultures, especially in the UK and the US. Sarcasm is essentially saying the opposite of what you mean, but with a specific tone. For example, imagine it is raining heavily outside. A literal speaker would say it is raining. A sarcastic speaker would look out the window and say, "Oh, what lovely weather for a picnic." If you just read those words on paper, you might be confused. But the clue is in the tone. The voice usually goes flat or drags out certain words. They might say, "lovely weather." To practice this, watching sitcoms is incredibly valuable. Shows like Friends or The Office are built on this kind of humor. Do not just watch for the plot. Watch for the reaction. When a character says something and the audience laughs, pause the video. Ask yourself, why is that funny? Was it a double meaning? Was it the tone? Was it the facial expression? Dissecting the joke ruins the funny moment, but it builds your understanding. Let us try a practice exercise with irony. I want you to imagine you are at a restaurant and the service is incredibly slow. You've been waiting for your food for an hour. Your friend looks at you and says, "Well, this is fast service, isn't it?" Now, obviously, they do not mean it is fast. They mean the opposite. I want you to practice saying that sentence with a sarcastic tone. Do not say it happily. Say it with a bit of a tired, flat voice. "Well, this is fast service, isn't it?" Try to drop your pitch at the end. Mastering this tone allows you to understand when people are joking with you rather than being rude to you. It prevents misunderstandings and helps you fit in socially. Now let us pivot to something that is crucial for your professional and social life, which is the art of softening your language. In many languages, being direct is seen as honest and efficient. But in English, especially in formal or semi-formal settings, being too direct can sound aggressive or rude. If you say, "Give me the salt," it sounds like a command. Even if you say, "Please give me the salt," it can still sound a bit demanding. To sound like a B2 or C1 speaker, you need to use softeners. Instead of "I want a coffee," try "I would like a coffee," or even better, "May I have a coffee?" Instead of saying you are wrong, say "I see your point, but I think I see it differently," or "I am not sure I agree." Notice the difference. You are saying the same thing, but you are wrapping it in cotton wool to make it land softly. Let us look at a specific scenario. You need to ask a colleague for help. A beginner says, "Help me with this report." An intermediate speaker says, "Can you help me with this report, please?" An advanced speaker says, "I was wondering if you might have a moment to help me with this report." Look at that structure. I was wondering if. It pushes the request into the past tense, which makes it feel less immediate and demanding. It gives the other person space to say no without feeling guilty. This is the psychology of English grammar. We use distance in time and space to show respect. Practice this phrase today. I was wondering if. Use it for everything. I was wondering if we could meet later. I was wondering if you saw my email. I was wondering if I could borrow your pen. It instantly elevates your level of sophistication. Another major component of fluency is storytelling. Human beings are wired for stories. We do not just want facts, we want a narrative. When someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" do not just say "It was good." "I went to the cinema." That is a conversation killer. Use the story structure. Start with a hook, then give the background, then the action, and finally the resolution or feeling. Let us transform that boring answer into a story. Hook. You will not believe what happened to me this weekend. Background. I decided to go to that new cinema downtown because I heard the seats were amazing. Action. But when I got there, I realized I had left my wallet at home, so I had to run all the way back to the car in the rain. Resolution. I missed the first 10 minutes of the movie, but honestly, the popcorn was so good I didn't even care. See the difference? The first answer was a fact. The second answer was an experience. You used phrases like "you will not believe" and "I decided" and "but when I got there." You connected the events. You shared a struggle and a resolution. To practice this, think of a simple event from your day. Maybe you burned your toast or you missed the bus. Turn it into a mini story. Tell it to your cat or tell it to your mirror. Focus on the transition words. Suddenly, unfortunately, luckily, eventually. These words guide the listener through your experience. Let us go deeper into the vocabulary of emotions because stories rely on feelings. Most learners are stuck with basic emotion words like happy, sad, angry, and tired. But life is more nuanced than that. If you want to express yourself fully, you need to upgrade your emotional vocabulary. Instead of saying "I was happy," say "I was thrilled," or "I was delighted," or "I was over the moon." Instead of saying "I was sad," say "I was devastated," or "I was down," or "I was feeling blue." Instead of saying "I was angry," say "I was furious," or "I was annoyed," or "I was livid." Using the precise word for your feeling helps people understand the intensity of your experience. Let us practice. Imagine you just got a promotion at work. Do not just say "I am happy." Say "I am absolutely thrilled." Feel the energy in that word, thrilled. Now imagine you lost your favorite necklace. Do not just say "I am sad." Say "I am heartbroken." The word heartbroken carries a weight that sad does not. Try to learn one new emotional synonym every day. It will add color to your black and white conversations. This brings us to the arena of high pressure. We need to talk about how to use English when the stakes are high, like in a job interview or a difficult negotiation, or even just a serious conversation where you need to be understood perfectly. Let us begin with the scenario that makes almost every learner sweaty and nervous, which is the job interview. The traditional way to prepare is to memorize answers. You write down a perfect paragraph about your strengths and weaknesses, and you try to recite it like a robot. Please stop doing this. When you memorize a script and then you forget one word, you panic. You freeze. The whole house of cards falls down. Instead of memorizing words, I want you to memorize structures. The best structure for B2 and C1 speakers is the STAR method, STAR situation. Task, action, result. When an interviewer asks you, "Tell me about a time you solved a problem," do not just ramble. Tell a mini story using this structure. First, describe the situation. We were behind schedule. Then, the task. I had to organize the team. Then, the action. I created a new timeline and delegated tasks. Finally, the result. We finished on time and the client was happy. If you practice this structure, you can answer any question. You can practice this in the shower. Ask yourself a question like, "Tell me about a time you were brave." Then force yourself to follow the steps. Situation. Task, action. Result. It keeps your answer logical and concise, and it stops you from getting lost in your own sentences. Now let us talk about the power of pausing in these high-pressure moments. B1 and B2 learners often feel like they have to speak immediately. They think silence means they do not know the answer. But actually, silence can be a sign of confidence. If someone asks you a difficult question, take a breath. Count to 2, look thoughtful, then speak. It shows you are considering your answer, not just reacting. If you need more time, use a buying time phrase. Phrases like that is a very interesting question. Let me think about the best way to answer that. Or simply let me see. These phrases are like hitting the pause button. They give your brain 5 extra seconds to find the vocabulary you need. Native speakers use these all the time. We are not always fluent. Sometimes we are just good at stalling. You can be good at stalling too. It makes you sound more in control and less desperate. Moving on from interviews, let us discuss how to handle disagreement. Disagreeing in a second language is terrifying because you are afraid of being rude. You do not want to start a fight, but you also do not want to be a pushover. You need to learn the art of partial agreement. This is where you agree with part of what the person said before you destroy their argument. You say, "I see where you are coming from, however, I think we need to look at the data." Or, "You make a valid point, but have you considered this alternative?" This is much better than saying you are wrong or "I disagree." It validates the other person. It makes them feel heard. And when people feel heard, they are less likely to get angry. Practice this with the news. Listen to an opinion you hate. Instead of shouting at the radio, say, "I understand why they think that, however they are ignoring the facts." It trains your brain to use diplomatic language even when you feel emotional. Now I want to shift gears to a more relaxing topic, which is reading. But I do not mean reading textbooks. I mean reading for pleasure. Many students try to read classics like Shakespeare or Charles Dickens, and they give up on page 1 because the language is archaic and difficult. Do not do that to yourself. Read what you enjoy. If you like romance novels, read romance. If you like thrillers, read thrillers. I highly recommend young adult or YA fiction, books like The Hunger Games or Harry Potter or Twilight. These books are written for teenagers, which means the language is modern and direct. but the stories are complex and engaging. They use real conversational English, not the flowery, poetic English of the 1800s. Here's a specific technique for reading called the two-page rule. When you pick up a book, read the first 2 pages. If you have to look up more than 5 words on every page, put the book down. It is too hard for you right now. It will just frustrate you. You want a book where you understand about 70 or 80% of the words? That way you can guess the rest from context. That is the sweet spot for acquisition. You want to be flowing through the story, not stopping every 10 seconds to check a dictionary. That destroys the joy. And if you are not enjoying it, you will not do it. Another fantastic way to consume books is the combo method. Buy the physical book and buy the audiobook. Listen to the audiobook while you read the text with your eyes. This is incredibly powerful. You are seeing the spelling and hearing the pronunciation at the same time. It fixes the disconnect between how English looks and how it sounds. English spelling is a nightmare. The word cough and the word though look similar but sound completely different. If you just read, you might pronounce them wrong in your head for years. If you listen and read, you correct your internal voice instantly. It also keeps you moving forward because the narrator does not stop, so you cannot get stuck rereading the same sentence. It forces you to keep up with the natural pace of the language. Let us talk about accents. The world is full of English speakers, and most of them are not from London or New York. You will hear Australian accents, Indian accents, Singaporean accents, Irish accents. This can be overwhelming. A B2 learner might understand an American perfectly but feel like a beginner when listening to a Scottish person. Do not panic. This is normal. The main difference between accents is usually the vowels. The consonants stay mostly the same, but the vowels stretch or shorten or shift. To practice this, do not just stick to one type of English. Watch a movie from Australia. Watch a news clip from India. Watch a documentary from South Africa. Your ear is a muscle that needs to be stretched. The more variety you feed it, the more flexible it becomes. If you struggle to understand a specific accent, try to focus on the stressed words. In every sentence, the speaker will hit the important words harder. Nouns and verbs are usually louder than prepositions and articles. If you catch the nouns and verbs, you can usually build the meaning even if the accent is thick. It is like a puzzle. You have the main pieces, and your brain fills in the sky and the grass. Trust your brain to do that work. And remember, in the real world, it is perfectly okay to say, "I'm sorry, I am not used to that accent. Could you please speak a little slower?" Honesty is always better than pretending to understand and getting it wrong. Now I want to introduce a concept called predictive listening. This is an active listening strategy that keeps your brain awake. When you are listening to a podcast or a friend try to guess how they will finish their sentence before they finish it. If they say, "I went to the store to buy a loaf of," your brain should instantly scream bread. If they say, "It was raining, so I took my," your brain should say umbrella. This happens in milliseconds. Native speakers do this constantly. It is why we can understand people in noisy bars. We are not actually hearing every word, we are predicting them based on probability. You can practice this by pausing a video every few sentences and guessing the next word. It turns listening into a game. It trains your brain to expect certain collocations and patterns. Let us discuss the plateau mindset again because it is the enemy of progress. You might feel like you have been at the same level for months. You are studying, but you do not feel better. This is the compound effect. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a room that is 20 degrees below zero. You raise the temperature 1 degree. Nothing happens. You raise it another degree. Still nothing. The ice is still solid. You keep raising the temperature until it hits 0 degrees. Still ice. But then you raise it 1 more degree and suddenly the ice melts into water. All that work you did before was not wasted. It was heating up the ice. You are in that phase right now. You are heating up. You might not see the water yet, but the energy is building. Do not quit just before the melt. Keep doing your daily narration. Keep doing your shadowing. The breakthrough will come and it will feel sudden. But it was actually the result of all these invisible days of practice. We need to talk about small talk. Many learners hate small talk. They think it is fake or boring. Why do we talk about the weather? Why do we ask about the weekend? In English culture, small talk is not about the topic. It is a social ritual. It is how we check for safety and connection. When I ask, "How are you?" I am really asking, are we friendly today? Are we on good terms? If you refuse to do small talk, you seem cold or arrogant. You do not need to be brilliant at it. Just learn a few scripts. Nice weather we are having. Did you catch the game last night? I am looking forward to the weekend. These simple phrases grease the wheels of social interaction. They make people like you, and if people like you, they will want to talk to you more, which gives you more practice. It is a positive feedback loop. This brings us to the long game, where we discuss how to maintain your fluency for the rest of your life, so you never lose the hard work you have put in. We will also explore the subtle art of cultural literacy and the concept of vague language, which is the secret sauce of sounding truly natural. Let us start with a reality that every learner faces eventually, which is the fear of forgetting. You work so hard to learn a new vocabulary word, and then a week later, it is gone. It feels like trying to hold water in your hands. This is natural, but we can fight it with a concept called spaced repetition. You do not need a fancy app for this, you just need a system. If you learn a new phrase today, try to use it 3 times in the next 24 hours. Then try to use it once a week later, then once a month later. You have to signal to your brain that this information is not trash. Your brain is efficient. It deletes things it does not use. So you have to prove to your brain that English is useful. The best way to do this is to make English necessary for your entertainment. If the only way you can watch your favorite show or read your favorite blog is by understanding English, your brain will hold on to the language because it wants the reward. Connect English to pleasure, not just discipline. Now let us dive into a very specific aspect of advanced speaking that is rarely taught in schools. It is called vague language. In textbooks, everyone speaks precisely. They say, "Please hand me the stapler." But in real life, native speakers are often lazy or forgetful. We say, "Please hand me that thingy over there." Or we say, "Can you pass me the stuff for the meeting?" We use words like thingamajig or whatchamacallit when we forget a name. Understanding and using this vague language makes you sound incredibly relaxed and fluent. It shows you are comfortable enough to be imprecise. We also use phrases like and stuff like that and things like that at the end of lists. For example, I need to buy apples and bananas and stuff like that. It implies that the list continues, but I am too lazy to finish it. If you can use these soft endings instead of stopping your sentence abruptly, you will flow much better. It signals to the listener that they understand the category, so you do not need to list every single item. Let us expand on this idea of sounding natural. By talking about cultural literacy, you can know all the grammar rules in the world, but if you do not understand the cultural references, you will still feel left out. English is not just words. It is a history of movies and books and historical events. If someone says he is acting like a Scrooge, you need to know that Scrooge is a character from A Christmas Carol who hates spending money. If someone says, "May the Force be with you," you need to know it is from Star Wars. You do not need to watch every movie ever made, but you should be curious about pop culture. If you hear a reference you do not understand, ask about it. Native speakers love explaining their culture. Asking who is that character or what is that movie from is a great conversation starter. It bridges the gap between just knowing the language and actually living in the culture. I want to address the concept of the English island. In your daily life, it is easy for your native language to take over everything. It is the path of least resistance. To combat this, I want you to create an English island. This could be a physical place or a specific time. Maybe your car is an English island. When you step into your car, you only listen to English radio or English podcasts. You talk to yourself in English. You sing in English. Or maybe Sunday morning is your English island. From the moment you wake up until noon, you only consume English content. By creating these boundaries, you protect your practice time. It becomes a sacred ritual. Your brain knows that when you sit in that specific chair or when you enter that specific room, it is time to switch modes. This reduces the mental effort required to switch languages because the environment triggers the habit. Let us talk about the beauty of idioms related to time. Time is a huge part of our lives, and English has hundreds of ways to describe it. We say time flies when you are having fun. We say beat the clock when we are rushing. We say save time or kill time or waste time. Notice how we treat time like money. We spend it, we save it, we waste it. This is a cultural insight. In English-speaking cultures, time is a currency. Understanding this metaphor helps you use these idioms correctly. If you are waiting for a bus and playing a game on your phone, you are killing time. If you take a shortcut, you are saving time. Try to observe how many money verbs are used with time. It will help you sound much more idiomatic and in tune with the cultural mindset. Now, I want to give you a strategy for when you feel completely unmotivated. There will be days when you hate English. You will feel tired and annoyed, and you just want to quit. This is normal. On these days, I want you to do the bare minimum. Do not force yourself to study grammar. Just watch a funny cat video in English or listen to one song you love. The goal on these bad days is not to improve. The goal is simply not to break the chain. If you do 5 minutes of something fun, you keep the connection alive. If you stop completely for a week, it is much harder to start again. Think of it like a gym routine. Going to the gym and just stretching for 10 minutes is better than not going at all because it keeps the habit of going to the gym. Be kind to yourself on the bad days so that you can be strong on the good days. Let us discuss the power of prediction in reading. We talked about predictive listening, but predictive reading is just as powerful. When you are reading an article, stop at the end of a paragraph. Ask yourself, what is the next paragraph going to be about? Based on the argument the writer is building, what must come next? This makes you an active reader. You are engaging with the logic of the text. If you guess right, you feel smart. If you guess wrong, you learn something about how English arguments are structured. This is excellent training for exams like IELTS or TOEFL, where understanding the structure of a text is key, but it is also great for general literacy. It turns reading from a passive activity into a dialogue between you and the writer. I also want to mention the importance of body language in fluency. We often think fluency comes from the mouth, but it also comes from the body. Different cultures use different gestures. In some cultures, nodding means yes. In others, it might mean no. In English-speaking cultures especially, the U.S. silence can feel awkward. We often rush to fill it. This is why we use fillers like, and, if you are speaking and you need time to think, do not just stay silent. Use a filler sound. Say, let me think, or that is a good question, or, well. This signals to the listener that you are not finished. You are just processing. It holds the floor. If you stay completely silent, the other person might interrupt you because they think you are done. Learning to hold the floor while thinking is a key conversational strategy. Let us reflect on the journey of identity. When you learn a new language, you are essentially creating a new version of yourself. Your English self might be slightly different from your native self. Maybe in English you are more polite, or maybe you are more direct. Maybe you are funnier, or maybe you are more serious. Embrace this second identity. It is not fake, it is just a different facet of your personality. Some people find that they can talk about difficult topics more easily in English because the words do not have the same emotional baggage as their native language. Use this to your advantage. Use English as a tool for self-exploration. It is a safe space to explore new ideas and new ways of being. We should also talk about the value of teaching. You might think you are not ready to teach, but teaching is the best way to learn. If you have a friend who is a beginner, try to explain a concept to them. Try to explain the difference between make and do. When you have to explain it, you realize where your own gaps are. You realize what you do not fully understand. You do not need to be a formal teacher. You can just share what you learned today. Tell your partner or your friend, hey, I learned this cool idiom today. Let me explain it to you. The act of verbalizing the knowledge solidifies it in your own brain. It moves the information from passive storage to active mastery. Let us look at the concept of immersion at home. You can label things in your house. Put a sticky note on the mirror that says reflection. Put one on the fridge that says nourishment. But do not just write the word, write a sentence. On the coffee machine, write, I brew energy every morning. On the door, write, I am stepping out into the world. This makes your environment speak to you. Every time you look around your house, you are reading English. It is a constant, gentle reminder of your goals. It keeps the language at the top of your mind even when you are just walking to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Now let us talk about the trap of comparison. In the age of social media, it is easy to see other learners who seem to speak perfectly after only 6 months. You see them on Instagram or YouTube and you feel like a failure. Please remember that social media is a highlight reel. You do not see their mistakes. You do not see the hours they spent struggling. You do not see the 50 takes they filmed before they got the perfect one. Do not compare your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. Your journey is your own. You are learning at your own pace, and that is exactly the right pace for you. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. If you know one more word today than you did yesterday, you are winning. I want to give you a tip about using voice notes for journaling. We talked about writing a diary, but speaking a diary is faster and often more effective for fluency. Open a chat with yourself on WhatsApp or Telegram, or just use the voice memo app. At the end of the day, record a 1-minute summary of your day. Just talk, ramble, complain, celebrate. Then listen to it. It is a digital log of your life. Over time, you will have a library of your own voice. You will be able to hear how your confidence has grown. And because it is audio, you can do it while you are walking the dog or laying in bed in the dark. It removes the friction of finding a pen and paper. It makes reflection instant and oral, which is exactly what conversation is. Let us discuss the concept of collocations one last time, because it is that important. Stop learning single words. I cannot stress this enough. If you learn the word decision, learn make a decision. If you learn the word effort, learn make an effort. If you learn the word advice, learn give advice. These chunks are the building blocks of fluency. If you try to translate word for word from your native language, you will say, do a decision, which sounds wrong. Native speakers notice these small errors. They understand you, but it sounds foreign. If you use the correct collocation, you sound like one of them. It is the easiest shortcut to sounding advanced. Whenever you read, underline the pairs of words that go together. Treat them as one single unit of meaning. And finally, we arrive at the masterclass level of our journey. These are the details that usually only C1 or C2 speakers talk about. These are the hidden mechanics of the language that will polish your English from something that works into something that shines. If you are ready to look at English through a microscope and really understand the DNA of the language, then listen closely. Let us start with the most common sound in the English language. It is not A, E, I, O, or U. It is a sound called the schwa. It sounds like wa. It is a lazy, relaxed sound. You hear it in words like teacher. The ER at the end is not, it is teach a. You hear it in the word about. It is not about, it is about. The schwa is the secret to English rhythm. In English, we only stress the important syllables. All the other syllables get reduced to this tiny sound. If you try to pronounce every vowel clearly, you will sound like a robot. To sound human, you must be lazy with your unstressed vowels. Look at the word vegetable. A student reads it as vegetable. 4 syllables. A native speaker says vegetaboul. 3 syllables, and the middle one is a schwa. Look at the word chocolate. It is not chocolate. It is chocolate. Mastering the schwa instantly makes you sound faster and more fluent because you are not wasting energy on unimportant sounds. Let us practice the schwa with a sentence. I can go to the store. If you stress everything, it sounds choppy. I can go to the store. But a native speaker reduces the grammar words. Can becomes cien. To becomes tu. The becomes the. It sounds like I see and go to the store. The only big words are go and store. Try to say it like that, I can go to the store. It feels weird at first, like you are mumbling, but this mumbling is actually accurate pronunciation. It allows the main message words to pop out. This is why you sometimes cannot understand natives. You are looking for the word to, but they are saying tu. Once your ear expects the schwa, you will unlock a new level of listening comprehension. Now let us move to a grammar point that is excellent for storytelling and expressing emotions, which is the third conditional. This is the grammar of regret. It is used to talk about things in the past that did not happen. The structure is, if I had done this, I would have done that. It sounds complicated, but it is just a formula. Imagine you missed a party and you heard it was amazing. You say, "If I had known, I would have gone." Use this to talk about your life choices in a reflective way. "If I had studied harder, I would have passed the test. If I had not eaten that sushi, I would not have gotten sick." This structure allows you to explore alternative realities. It adds depth to your conversations because you can share not just what happened, but how you feel about what happened. Practice this by looking back at your yesterday. Find one thing you regret. Maybe you stayed up too late. Say, "If I had gone to bed earlier, I would feel better today." Let us tackle the specific anxiety of the telephone. Speaking on the phone is harder than speaking in person because you have no lips to read and no hands to watch. You are stripped of your visual cues. To master this, you need a specific set of survival phrases. If you do not understand something, do not just say, "What?" Say, "Could you please repeat that line is a bit bad." Even if the line is fine, blaming the connection saves face. It gives you a second chance to listen without admitting you didn't understand. Also learn the phonetic alphabet for spelling names. A for Alpha, B for Bravo, C for Charlie. You do not need the military one. You can use common words. A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. When you have to spell your name or email address, knowing these words prevents the frustration of M, as in Mary, versus N, as in Nancy. Being prepared with these tools lowers your heart rate before you even pick up the phone. I want to discuss the concept of code switching. This is the ability to change your tone based on who you are talking to. You already do this in your native language. You talk to your boss differently than you talk to your best friend. In English, the difference is often in the vocabulary. With a friend, you say, "I want to hang out." With a boss, you say, "I would like to schedule a meeting." With a friend, you say, "That sucks." With a boss, you say, "That is unfortunate." To practice this, take a simple sentence and translate it into 3 registers: slang, neutral, and formal. Sentence, "I am hungry." Slang, "I'm starving. I could eat a horse." Neutral, "I am hungry. I need to eat." Formal, "I have quite an appetite. I would like to request a meal." Doing this mental exercise makes you flexible. It ensures you never sound too stiff at a party or too sloppy in a meeting. Let us look at rhetorical questions. These are questions you do not expect an answer to. We use them to make a point stronger. If you are complaining about a bad movie, you can say, "Was it the worst movie ever?" Yes, it was. If you are trying to convince someone, you can say, "Do we really want to miss this opportunity?" By asking the question, you engage the listener's brain. They have to silently answer yes or no. It wakes them up. Use this in your self-debate practice. Ask yourself questions. Why is this important? Well, let me tell you. Who cares about this? I do. It creates a dynamic back and forth rhythm in your speech that is very engaging to listen to. Now let us talk about the language of deduction. This is when you play detective. You see something and you make a guess. We use modal verbs for this. Must have, might have, can't have. You see a man running for a bus. You say he must be late. You are 90% sure. You see a wet umbrella on the floor. You say, it must be raining. If you are not sure, you use might. He might be late, but maybe he is just exercising. If you are sure it is impossible, you use can't. He can't be at home because I see him right here. Practicing these deductions allows you to comment on your environment constantly. It turns the world into a mystery novel that you are narrating. Look out your window right now. Find a person or a car. Make a deduction. That car is driving fast. It must be in a hurry. That person is wearing a coat. It must be cold. We should also address the art of interrupting politely. In many English-speaking cultures, interrupting is rude, but sometimes it is necessary. The trick is to acknowledge the interruption. Do not just start talking. Use a phrase like, "Sorry to interrupt, but," or "Can I just jump in here for a second?" or "Before we move on, I just wanted to add." These phrases act like a signal. They soften the blow. Practice waiting for a tiny pause in the conversation, basically taking a breath and then inserting your phrase. It is a timing skill, like jumping into a double Dutch skipping rope. You have to watch the rhythm and jump in the gap. Let us expand on the concept of active listening with the Cornell note, taking method adapted for English. Usually this is for students, but you can use it for podcasts. Divide a piece of paper into 2 columns. On the right side, write down the main ideas or keywords you hear. On the left side, write down questions that pop into your head or new vocabulary words you want to look up later. Do not stop listening to look up words, just write them in the left column. This keeps your brain in 2 modes, the capture mode, right side, and the curiosity mode, left side. At the end of the podcast, look at your left column. Now you have a personalized study list. This transforms passive listening into a highly structured learning session. I want to introduce you to the concept of binomials. These are pairs of words joined by "and" that always go in a specific order. We say fish and chips, not chips and fish. We say black and white, not white and black. We say salt and pepper. We say pros and cons. We say ups and downs. Learning these as fixed phrases makes you sound very native. If you reverse them, you sound odd. I have had many downs and ups sounds wrong. I have had many ups and downs sounds right. Pay attention to these fixed pairs. They are everywhere. Bread and butter, rock and roll, give and take. They usually follow a rhythm where the shorter word comes first or the easier word comes first. Let us talk about the language of numbers and trends. If you use English for business, this is vital. Do not just say the numbers went up. Use descriptive verbs. The numbers skyrocketed. The numbers soared. The numbers climbed. If they went down, say they plummeted. They crashed. They dipped. If they stayed the same, say they leveled off or they stabilized. Using these visual verbs paints a picture of the data. Instead of sales are good, say sales are booming. Instead of sales are bad, say sales are slumping. It adds energy to your professional presentation. Now let us look at the nuanced use of the word get. Get is one of the most versatile words in English. It can replace almost any verb. Get means receive. I got a letter. Get means buy. I got a new car. Get means arrive. I got home. Get means understand. I get it. Get means become. I got tired. Because it is so flexible, natives use it all the time. If you want to sound casual use, get instead of the formal verb. Instead of I arrived at the office, say I got to the office. Instead of I purchased a ticket, say I got a ticket. Instead of I became angry, say I got angry. It softens your speech and makes you sound less like a textbook and more like a person. I want to suggest a specific visualization exercise for prepositions. Prepositions like in, on, at are a nightmare because they are abstract. Try to visualize them as dimensions. At is a point on a map. I am at the bus stop. It is a dot. On is a surface or a line. I am on the bus. I am on the street. It is a platform. In is a container. I am in the car. I am in the room. You are enclosed. This visual logic works for time too. At is a specific point in time, like at 5 p.m. On is a day, like on Monday. In is a container of time, like in 2025 or in September. If you visualize the container versus the platform versus the dot, you will make fewer mistakes. Let us talk about the difference between say, tell, speak, and talk. This confuses everyone. Here is the simple rule. Say focuses on the words. He said hello. Tell focuses on the information and the person. He told me the news. You almost always tell someone. You cannot tell hello. You tell him. Speak is formal. May I speak to the manager? Talk is casual. Let's talk about it. So remember the lanes. Say something. Tell someone. Speak formally. Talk casually. If you keep these 4 lanes clear in your head, you will stop mixing them up. I also want to touch on the concept of echoing. This is a conversational tool where you repeat the last few words someone said to show you are listening or to encourage them to continue. If a friend says, I went to this amazing restaurant last night, you can simply say, amazing restaurant. If they say, yeah, they had this incredible pasta, you can say incredible pasta. By simply repeating the key words as a question, you keep the conversation flowing without having to think of a new topic. It makes the other person feel fascinating. It is a social hack that takes 0 vocabulary effort but yields high social rewards. Let us discuss the emotional impact of I used to. This is different from the past tense. I played tennis means it happened once or in the past. I used to play tennis means I did it regularly, but I do not do it anymore. It carries a feeling of nostalgia or change. Use this to tell your life story. I used to live in a small town. I used to be shy. It highlights the contrast between who you were and who you are now. It is a very powerful structure for bonding with people because it shares your personal history of growth. Now, I want to give you a challenge regarding shadows. Not shadow in audio, but describing light. Go into a room where the sun is shining. Describe the light. Is it bright? Is it dim? Is it glowing? Is it casting long shadows? We often ignore lighting in our descriptions, but it sets the mood. The room was dimly lit and cozy. The sun was blinding. Describing the atmosphere is what makes you a C1 speaker. You are not just describing objects, you are describing the vibe. Let us talk about the phrase supposed to. This is crucial for cultural expectations. I am supposed to be at work. It is supposed to rain. It talks about what is expected versus what is reality. The movie was supposed to be good, but it was terrible. Mastering this phrase allows you to complain and compare expectations effectively. It is very common in daily griping and gossiping. I want to end this section on grammar nuances with a thought on confidence. Confidence is not knowing all the answers. Confidence is knowing you can handle not knowing the answer. If you forget a word and you laugh and say, "Oh, my brain is sleeping today," that is confidence. If you make a mistake and you correct yourself without apologizing profusely, that is confidence. You are building a thick skin. You are becoming a linguistic warrior. As we continue our journey into the realm of emotional intelligence and advanced situational fluency, we're going to talk about how to navigate complex social waters, how to express physical sensations with precision, and how to use the language of persuasion to get what you want without being aggressive. This is the level where you stop being just a speaker of English and start being a negotiator, a diplomat, and a true storyteller in the language. Let us begin with the nuanced art of the apology. In beginner English, we learn to say, "I am sorry," And while that is useful, it is a blanket term that covers everything from stepping on someone's toe to crashing a car. As an advanced speaker, you need a spectrum of apologies. If you make a small mistake like spilling a bit of water or bumping into someone, slightly use the phrase, "my bad." It is very casual. It means I accept responsibility, but it is not a big deal. Oops, my bad. On the other hand, if you are in a professional setting and you made a mistake on a report, do not say, "my bad." That sounds childish. Say, "I apologize for the oversight." The word oversight implies you did not do it on purpose, you just missed it. It sounds professional and accountable. If you want to express empathy without admitting guilt use, "I am sorry to hear that. This is crucial." If a client is angry about a delay that is not your fault, do not say, "I am sorry for the delay," if you did not cause it. Say, "I am sorry to hear you have been waiting." You are acknowledging their feelings without taking the blame. Mastering these distinctions protects your reputation and clarifies your intent. Now let us move to the language of physical sensation, particularly health. This is vital because if you ever get sick abroad, you need to be specific. A doctor cannot help you if you just say, "I feel bad" or "I have pain." You need adjectives. Is the pain throbbing like a heartbeat? Is it stabbing like a knife? Is it a dull ache that is constant and low level? Is it burning? Is it stinging? Learning these specific adjectives can literally save your life. Let us practice. Imagine you have a headache. If it feels like a tight band around your head, it is a tension headache. If it feels like a hammer inside your head, it is a throbbing headache. Imagine you cut your finger and put lemon juice on it. That is a stinging pain. Visualizing the type of pain helps you remember the word. Also practice describing symptoms. I feel nauseous means I want to vomit. I feel dizzy means the room is spinning. I feel feverish means I am hot and cold. Do not be afraid to be graphic. Doctors need details. Let us shift gears to the art of persuasion and agreement. There is a concept from improvisation comedy called yes and. The idea is that you accept what the other person says and then add to it. This is a brilliant strategy for business meetings and debates. If someone suggests an idea you do not like, do not say no, that will not work. That stops the flow. Say yes. I see the value in that idea, and I think we need to consider the budget implications. You validated them with yes, and then you steered the conversation with and. It makes you look like a collaborator rather than an obstacle. Another persuasion technique is the hypothetical. Instead of demanding, "We must do this," say, "What would it look like if we tried this?" By phrasing it as a question, you invite the other person to imagine the future with you. It lowers their defenses because they are not being told what to do. They are being asked to think. I want to explore the idioms of the body because English speakers are obsessed with somatic metaphors. We feel things in our bodies. If you are nervous about a big event like a wedding or speech, we say you have cold feet. Imagine your feet freezing and you cannot walk forward. If you have an intuition about something we say, "I have a gut feeling." We trust our stomach more than our brain sometimes. If you are relieved, we say it is a weight off my shoulders. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack and taking it off. If someone is annoying you, we say they are a pain in the neck. Connecting these idioms to the physical body makes them easier to remember. Next time you are stressed, feel your shoulders. Are they heavy? Use the idiom. "I have a lot on my shoulders right now." It sounds poetic and natural. Let us talk about the concept of hedging. Hedging is when you use cautious language to avoid being wrong or sounding too direct. B2 speakers make statements. C1 speakers make suggestions. Instead of saying, "That is the wrong answer," say, "It appears that might not be correct." Instead of saying, "He is lying," say, "He might not be telling the whole truth." We use words like apparently, seemingly, arguably, and presumably. Presumably, he missed the bus means I assume he missed it, but I do not know for sure. Arguably, this is the best pizza in town means I think it is, but others might disagree. Using these hedges makes you sound intellectual and careful. It shows you understand that the world is complex and not black and white. Now I want to address a very specific social situation, which is receiving a compliment. In many cultures, it is polite to deny a compliment. If someone says you look nice, you might say, "Oh no, I look terrible today." In English-speaking cultures, especially in the US and UK, it is better to accept it graciously. If you deny it, you might make the other person feel awkward, like they have bad taste. The best formula is "Thank you, I really appreciate that." Or simply, "Thank you, that is very kind of you to say." If you want to be modest, you can share the credit. If someone says, "Great job on the project," say, "Thank you, it was a real team effort." This accepts the praise but spreads it around. It shows humility without rejecting the kindness. Let us look at the language of transition in storytelling. We talked about story structure, but how do you move between the parts? We use signpost words. To start a new topic, we say "speaking of." For example, speaking of holidays, did you book your flight? To go back to an old topic, we say, "as I was saying." To summarize, we say, "in a nutshell," or "the bottom line is." To change the subject completely, we say, "on another note." These are the traffic lights of conversation. They tell the listener where you are going. If you do not use them, your conversation feels like a chaotic car crash. Practice using "speaking of today." Listen for a keyword in your friend's sentence and use it to pivot. If they say, "I am tired," say, "Speaking of tired, have you tried that new coffee shop?" It makes the conversation flow seamlessly. I want to dive into the world of phrasal verbs related to relationships because this is often where learners get confused. To get along with someone means to have a good relationship. To fall out with someone means to have an argument and stop speaking. To make up means to resolve the argument. To look up to someone means to admire them. To look down on someone means to think you are better than them. To grow apart means to slowly lose connection over time. Notice the directions. Up is usually good admiration. Down is usually bad judgment. Together implies connection. Apart implies separation. Visualizing the movement of the people helps. If you drift apart, you are like two boats floating away from each other. If you bump into someone, you are colliding. Relationship phrasal verbs are very visual. Let us discuss the crucial skill of clarifying without feeling stupid. It is inevitable that you will miss a word or a phrase. Do not just smile and nod. That gets you into trouble. But do not just say, "What?" Use these advanced clarification phrases. "Sorry, I didn't catch that last part." Or, "Could you run that by me one more time?" Or, "I am not sure I follow." Or, just to make sure we are on the same page, are you saying X? This last one is powerful. It allows you to summarize what you think they said. It shows you are actively processing the information. People respect this. It shows you care about understanding them correctly. Never be afraid to ask for clarification. It is a sign of a strong communicator. Now I want to talk about the power of silence in English. We touched on this before, but let us go deeper. In English conversation, there is a rhythm of turn-taking. Usually there is a tiny gap between speakers. If you jump in too early, you are interrupting. If you wait too long, it becomes awkward. This is called the latency gap. To master this, watch interviews, watch talk shows. See how the guests wait for the host to drop their pitch before they start speaking. It is a dance. If you are constantly interrupting, try to take a breath before you speak. If you are constantly getting interrupted, maybe you are pausing too long. Try to use fillers like well or you see to hold the floor while you think. It keeps the channel open. Let us explore the vocabulary of sound. The world is noisy and English has great onomatopoeia, words that sound like what they describe. The bees buzz, the door creaks, the fire crackles, the water splashes, the snake hisses, the clock ticks. Using these sensory words makes your descriptions vivid. Instead of saying the noise was annoying, say the constant buzzing of the fridge was driving me crazy. Instead of saying the floor is old, say the floorboards creak when I walk. It creates a soundscape for the listener. Try to notice 3 sounds right now. Is the traffic humming? Is the wind howling? Is a dog barking? Name the sounds. I want to give you a tip for handling accents that are difficult for you. If you are speaking to someone with a strong accent that you struggle to understand, focus on their lips. Lip reading actually helps your brain decode the sound. Also, focus on context. If you are at a bakery and they say a word you do not know, it is probably a type of bread or a price. Narrow down the possibilities. And remember, it is okay to ask them to write it down if it is important, like an address or a name. Just say, I am so sorry, I am a visual learner. Could you write that down for me? It takes the pressure off your ears. Let us talk about the concept of false friends. These are words that look like words in your language, but mean something different. For example, actually does not mean currently, it means in reality. Sensible does not mean sensitive, it means practical. Eventual does not mean possible, it means final. These are traps. You need to be aware of them. If you say, I am sensible to the cold, people will look confused because you mean sensitive. If you say, I eventually want to go there, it means in the end, not maybe. Make a list of the false friends between English and your specific native language. There are usually about 20 common ones. Memorize them. Avoid the trap. I want to encourage you to talk to animals. Yes, really. If you have a pet or if you see a dog in the park, talk to it in English. Who's a good boy? Are you hungry? Do you want to go for a walk? Animals do not judge your grammar. It is a low-stakes way to practice high-pitch, enthusiastic intonation. We often speak to animals with a lot of melody. Who is a good boy? That rising and falling intonation is excellent practice for making your English sound less flat. It loosens up your vocal cords and gets you used to being expressive. Let us discuss the future of your English journey. You are moving towards autonomy. Autonomy means you no longer need a teacher to tell you what to learn. You notice your own mistakes. You choose your own materials. You set your own goals. This is the ultimate goal, to become your own teacher. To reach this state, you need to cultivate the habit of reflection. Once a week, ask yourself, what did I do well this week in English and what was difficult? If you struggled with phone calls, make a plan to practice phone calls. If you struggled with past tense, make a plan to review irregular verbs. Be proactive. Take ownership. The best learners are the ones who take responsibility for their own progress. I want to leave you with a thought about identity. Some people say, I feel fake when I speak English. I want you to reframe that. You are not being fake, you are performing, like an actor stepping onto a stage. When you speak English, you are stepping onto a global stage. You are putting on the costume of the language. Enjoy the performance. It allows you to be someone else for a little while. Maybe your English character is bolder. Maybe they are more polite. Maybe they are funnier. Explore who this person is. It is a creative act. You are creating a new voice. This brings us to the end of our complete guide on English in Advance. We have traveled a long way together through the landscapes of daily narration and shadowing and deep listening and psychological tricks. We have covered the nuance of apologies, the language of pain, the art of persuasion, the idioms of the body, and the importance of autonomy. You have a massive amount of information here. Do not try to memorize it all today. Just let it wash over you. Pick 1 or 2 gems that resonated with you and try to use them tomorrow. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Imagine yourself traveling and speaking effortlessly to strangers. Imagine yourself in a meeting presenting your ideas without shaking. Imagine yourself watching a movie and laughing at the jokes without looking at the subtitles. This future is possible. It is waiting for you. But it requires you to keep showing up. It requires you to keep listening to podcasts like this one. It requires you to keep talking to yourself in the shower. It requires you to be brave enough to make mistakes and laugh at them. You have all the tools now. You know about narration and shadowing. You know about the STAR method and softeners. You know about sarcasm and vague language. You are not a beginner anymore. You are an advanced learner on the road to mastery. Do not let anyone tell you that you cannot do it. You have already proven that you can by being here. I want to ask you for a small favor. If this series has helped you, if it has given you a new perspective or a new technique, please share it with a friend who is also learning. Learning is better together. Share the journey. And please subscribe to the channel English in Advance. We are building a community here, a family of learners who support each other. I want you to be a part of that family. So here is my final challenge to you. For the next 24 hours, treat everything you do as an opportunity to practice. When you drink coffee, describe the taste in English. When you walk outside, describe the weather in English. When you feel an emotion, name it in English. Live your life in English just for 1 day. See how it feels. See how it changes your perception of the world. You might find that you like this English version of yourself. You might find that you are more capable than you ever imagined. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. Thank you for your time, your trust, and your effort. I am Jessica, and this has been English in Advance. Remember, fluency is not a destination, it is a journey. And I am so happy to be walking this path with you. Keep believing in yourself, keep practicing, and never stop learning. You have got this. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.